The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow. Feels good to be filming in the morning again. Hey, what is going on, everybody? My name is Payne, and welcome back to another video. And before I say anything, if it sounds like I'm sick, then I kinda am. My nose has been runny, it's been clogging. I'm currently trying to fix it. I don't know how else to say it. I can promise you that the next couple of days I'll be fine. Just right now, I don't sound too good, but I'll still have enough energy to talk about this. And this is a pretty huge thing to talk about, mainly because it just ended. And that thing is, as promised, is the final season right now of My Hero Academia. It ended a couple of days ago, which gave me just the right amount of time to write a review for this and what happened. So, with no further introduction, let's just bring up the show. This is the one, the only season trace of My Hero Academia. As always, My Hero Academia, also known as Boku no Hero Academia, directed by Kenji Nagasaki, written by Yosuke Kuroda, and was made by the studio Bones. It came out in the spring of 2018, and it consisted of 25 episodes. I'll link the 2 other videos I made of this show down in the description below, as well as the information bar, probably that way? Or that way? I don't know. Looking at the screen is weird. But for people who don't know, Season 1 follows a quirkless kid named Izuku Midoriya as he enrolls in UA High School after acquiring the quirk of his idol All Might, and the season follows his journey to that point. And the second season followed Midoriya as well as the rest of his Class 1A's dreams of becoming professional heroes as they go through the UA Sports Festival, various internships, their battle with the almighty hero killer Stain, and the final exam before the summer begins, where the students will have to take on the teachers in order to pass, and all of them do, or almost all of them do. And that is where we start off the 3rd season, as Class 1A decide to go to a training camp in the forest where they meet their counselors, a pro-hero team known as a pro-hero team known as the Wild Pussycats, and Koda, the nephew of one of the members of the Wild Pussycats. I'm sorry, it just sounds weird when I say it. Whose parents were pro-heroes that died in the line of duty, and after that started to dislike heroes in general because he believes that his parents left him and wouldn't have died if they weren't heroes and would have hung out with Koda more. Now, for a while at this training camp, everything goes to plan, but during one of the heroes' training exercises, they're attacked by the League of Villains' new group known as the Vanguard Action Squad, led by the poster girl for the anime and cosplay community, Himiko Toga, or at least when she came onto the scene, and Dabi, which results in one hero's quirk going out of control, that one being Fumikage Tokoyami, whose quirk, Dark Shadow, can contain an uncontrollable amount of power when exposed to large amounts of darkness. And our main character, Deku Midoriya, getting knocked out, and the villains leaving with Katsuki Bakugou as a hostage because the League of Villains believe that because he already shows the nature of a villain, that they can easily turn him into one. And over the next couple of days, UA receives serious backlash from the families of the students and the media over their ability to protect their students after so much has happened when it comes to villains threatening their lives while they're practicing to be pro-heroes, going back to the unforeseen simulation joint, the hero killer Stain, and now this. And meanwhile, Deku, who was knocked out for a while, wakes up in his hospital room to find that most of Class 1A is there with him, and after a couple disagreements of whether to do this or not, they decide to plan to rescue Bakugou, but the teachers at UA prohibit them from going anywhere near the investigation because A, the police are handling this by organizing a group of pro-heroes to find the villain's hideout, and B, this should be the last thing these guys should be involved in after what they've been through. But not knowing that a group of pro-heroes are already on it, they decide to put on disguises and find him, but the pro-heroes end up finding their secret hideout first, but not before the League of Villains were able to literally vanish into thin air away from the pro-heroes, along with Bakugou, and is taken to the leader of the League of Villains, known as All for One. All Might and the students catch up to Bakugou as All Might realizes that he can't use that much of his power because, for people who don't know, due to the many times he's been injured, he can't fight as much as he used to. That's why he gave All for One to Deku for him to be his predecessor. But anyway, with this in mind, he still fights One for All and easily won, if not the best fight of this year, not just in the show, but in anime 2018. And while this is going on, the students that showed up were able to take Bakugou to safety. During the fight, One for All tries to diminish All Might by saying that it was him who killed All Might's mentor, Nana Shimura, and that he brainwashed her grandson for several years into who is now Tomoda Shigaraki. But instead of going down, this backfires as this actually gets more power to All Might as he knocks him out with one final punch that he calls the United States of Smash. But it's later revealed that All Might had used his last bit of energy, and after the smoke had cleared up, he went back to his small, fragile form, and considering that this whole fight was broadcast on live TV, everyone knows what he's going through and what his secret is. But while One For All is being arrested, All Might gives one final message to cement his legacy as he does this.
Meanwhile, All Might and the other heroes remain on high alert.
Now. Now. It's your turn.
I can still remember everyone afterwards on social media going crazy after that scene, but after all of that, the staff at UA High School decides to make a new dorm system for the students, and by doing so, newly retired All Might and Shoto Aizawa, Class 1A's homeroom teacher, goes door to all the students' houses to let them know of the new plan, highlighted by All Might's visit to Deku's house, and the emotional scene where All Might tells Deku's mom, Inko Midoriya, that he'll take care of them. After getting situated in their dorms, Aizawa tells the class about the provisional licensing exam, which is the last stop for anyone who wants to be a pro hero, to which students from different schools face off in multiple events in order to be eligible for pro hero status. In the initial phase, the goal is to hit another hero with orange balls on 3 targets on their body, and if someone is hit in all 3 targets, they are out. Unbeknownst to UA, though, is that there's a tradition at the provisional exam, and that is that all of the other schools that are participating in the exam all ambush UA because they know their quirks due to the UA Sports Festival because it was broadcast across the nation. But above all that, all of the students in Class 1A, 10 in total, became one of 100 people that were able to pass the exam, and they were able to move on to the final phase of the exam, which requires the remaining heroes to perform rescue operations in certain disaster areas. But while they're doing that, one of the heroes in charge of watching the exam, known as Gang Orca, was acting as a villain to attack the students while they're rescuing civilians from collapsed buildings and falling debris, and that all the students' performances are judged based on a point system, and when the final phase was over, all of the points were tallied, and not all of the UA students became pro heroes that day, as everyone got it but Todoroki and Bakugou. Okay, in Todoroki's defense, he was being provoked by a kid from another school named Inasha Yararashi, who also didn't become a pro hero because of his inability to work with Todoroki because he hates him, because he's the son of Endeavor, a hero who blew Inasa off when he was a kid, and it's that reason that both of them are not heroes. But for Bakugou, that could not have been more of a predictable event. That absolutely did not come as a surprise to me at all. I mean, ever since I saw Bakugou, he's still that same selfish, egotistical prick who only cares about himself and picks on Deku all the time. But, you know, that's just for the time being, and I digress. As for Deku, the guy we've literally been paying attention to from the very beginning, after all he's been through, he is now a pro hero, but he's not out of the woods yet with Bakugou. In the next night, Bakugou confronts Deku for the first time about how he obtained his powers. Now, keep in mind, Deku had told Bakugou that he got his powers from somewhere else, but did not tell him that he got it from All Might. But Bakugou is confronting Deku for the first time about getting it from All Might, and seeing that he favors Deku over him, Bakugou fights Deku as he complains about how no matter how many times he beats Deku, he's always right behind him, asking why he's getting acknowledged by All Might while blaming himself for his retirement because he got captured by the League of Villains. Now, this part of the entire series is huge for both of them, as this is the first time that both Deku and Bakugou open up to each other instead of just Bakugou shitting all over Deku, just like what we've been seeing for most of the series up to this point. And after a little more fighting, All Might appears and breaks up the fight, and when asked by Bakugou why he picked Deku to be a successor, he responds by saying that despite being quirkless, Deku was more heroic than anyone else in Class 1A, and Bakugou says he's always wanted to be strong like All Might, but ends up being the reason he retired, while All Might comforts him and tells him that he would have lost his powers regardless, and the fight ends with now Bakugou knowing the secret of One for All. But because of the fight Both Bakugou and Deku are punished with house arrest at the dorms, and the other students are not allowed to tell them what they learned in class as the new semester begins, which brings Class 1A to their next assignment and a possible sneak peek at Season 4 of My Hero Academia. So in class, Aizawa, the homeroom teacher, explains to the class that they would have to go through another form of internships, and that they were going to be told of these internships by the top 3 students in the UA Hero program, also known as the Big Three, containing of Mirino Togata, Neijide Hato, and Tamaki Amajiki. And Season 3 ends with Mirino beating all of Class 1A in a fight in which we are introduced to his quirk, which is known as Permission, where he can warp through everything. That's his words, not mine. He literally says everything, including the floor, as well as Midoriya learning of a former sidekick that All Might used to have, and 2 more villains. I said that 2 villains approached the League of Villains at the end of Season 2. 2 more villains approached the League of Villains at the end of Season 3, and they are known as Twice and Overhaul. More about Twice, actually pretty shortly as we get into the review portion of this video. The story in this season continues the track of the previous prequels. There's not that really anything to say other than that. However, the story was progressing throughout this season as the UA students were honing their quirks, they fought against villains, and had the Hero's License exam too, but when it comes to the characters, it is seen as one of the strongest points in the show. Throughout this season, we've got many new characters and well-developed scenes as well. Deku surpassing himself and changing his fighting style, Kirishima being the most caring one for Bakugou, All Might showing us that heroes can be badass and cool, and finally, in my opinion, the best character in this season, and I think I said this already earlier, and that is Bakugou. Whether you love him or hate him, it doesn't matter, but we all must agree that Bakugou is one of the most unique characters in My Hero Academia. He didn't turn into Sasuke 2.0, who accepts to just be a villain just to beat Deku. No, he may seem like a villain, but in reality, he's just a guy with an inferiority complex who wants to be a cool hero no matter what. Moreover, Bakugou's breaking down scene when he was confronting Deku was very stellar. It was really good. And it showed us that despite the rough and aggressive side of him, he still has the humane side, or the soft side, deep inside of him, as well as he has feelings too, and he showed us that he can feel pain rather than inflict them on other people. And in addition, Bakugou and Deku could understand each other a bit more as they finally become true rivals instead of just one guy shitting on the other, which can be highlighted as a significant development in their characters and in the story. And if I had to predict what's going to happen in Season 4, they're going to go farther with that. Again, I'm someone who never read the manga before. I want to, but, I'm just spending a lot of time with school and this, so I need to get my time management going. On the other hand, we also got a large cast of villains, but in that large group, there are 3 villains that are interesting in not only this season, but possibly next season as well. The first one being Twice, who had an epic monologue and towards the end of the 3rd season, which stated that heroes save the good people only, despite that, sometimes they're just insane people who just want someone to understand them, but sadly this doesn't happen. Hence, these kind of people turn into villains, and they find some people who understand them, which gives a depth in the realism of the story, something that we saw a little bit when Hero Killer Stain went on his rant. This is basically another version of that. Not as intense as Hero Killer Stain's beliefs, but it's still around there. The next one is a villain known as Overhaul. We only see him in a couple of scenes in the final few episodes, and really, this is just opinionated. He looks like a badass, and I seriously hope we see him a lot in Season 4. And finally is the most important villain that, even though he's in jail right now, we're probably going to see more of them, and that is All For One. All For One basically resembles the idea of a villain is another one's hero, as he was the dad figure for Shigaraki, and his ambitions are so vague and unclear. He's intelligent, he has unlimited power, he has lived for many years, but his goals are not 100% clear to the audience. And it was because of that this villain caught my attention for the first time this year. I really paid attention to what his beliefs were and really paid attention to him as a character in this show. And it seems that Shigaraki is going to have a major development to be a real villain with an ideology like that in the near future. And again, we also got to some new characters such as the Big Three, who will be a big role in Season 4, no pun intended, as well as a large amount of characters from other schools that fought against UA during the provisional exam. But let's not forget what is easily the most important character in the entire season, and that is Bakugou's mom. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at this. The anime community took her and literally ran with it, and they made her thick as fuck. Oh my god. But apart from that, the characters are easily the most important part of the show, whether it's the heroes, villains, or easily the biggest amount of fan service in this show, Bakugou's mom. And as much as I don't want to admit it, the original soundtrack is the weakest point in Season 3. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are many good and emotional OSTs in this show, but the real problem was the choice of music that was used in the show. As during most of the fights in the show, they used OSTs in the background that somehow just didn't really feel right, that just didn't suit well with the fight. And when it comes to the openings and the endings are alright. They were forgettable, but they were still alright. And the openings were ones that I could listen to all day. The first one, Odd Future, was really good. I honestly think it's the best among all of the openings in the show. And the second opening, known as Make My Story, it wasn't as good as the first one, but I was still okay with it. When it comes to the animation for this show, it's the same thing as the plot. There's really not that much to say that I haven't already said, but there is one thing, and that is that it's becoming evident that Studio Bones is using most of their animation budget for the fights that continue the story and not just all of the fights in general, which I think is a clever way to not waste their budget and make the fans addicted to the epic fight scenes in this show, and so far it's working. I'm not saying what they're doing is a bad thing. I think in some cases it works really well. Let's just hope they, keep going with it a little forward in the next couple of years when they are still the animation studio for the show. The first half of this season was astonishing. I was tense while watching each episode, and even got to the point where I was actually re-watching those same episodes again. There were many emotional scenes, action scenes, tension scenes, and even sad scenes. But however, every anime has its ups and downs. It's normal, it's part of the business, and the second half of Season 3 was a big down. The license exam arc was long and, in most times, predictable, and Studio Bones even added a filler episode in which they just straight up promoted their new movie, which, in any way, I see that as a very smart marketing tactic. The show's popular enough, why not promote something else in it? But anyway, during that arc, I felt like I was watching another show entirely, but after that arc ended, we got back to the good stuff. Starting with Deku vs. Bakugou, twice as monologue, the revealing of new badass characters such as the Big Three, as they all paved the way for the dark internship arc in Season 4. Some people compare the previous seasons to this one, and in my opinion, every season has its ups and downs, and this season started like a bombshell, but it dropped down slowly, but it came back to its prime in the last couple of episodes. This season, in particular, the main focal point this season was mainly about the students fighting villains, showing how the students are now grown enough to be in danger and that they have to improve their skills. This season was boring in some episodes and was very splendid in others. Some people say that My Hero is an overrated series. However, in the last couple of years, the number of good action anime are decreasing gradually because of the low quality and the bad adaptation, so an anime like this is like a diamond in the rough that brings good sales to the studio. And I hope that Season 4 surpasses the flaws in Seasons 1, 2, and 3 and deliver to us the perfect quality of an action anime. And with that, I'm finishing off this little project for now by giving My Hero Academia Season 3 an 8 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching my Hero Season 3 anime review video. If you like this video and this project that I've been making, you can hit the like button and the subscribe button down below. If you want to see more anime review videos in the near future, you can also hit the subscribe button down below. And if you want to see some videos that I've made in the past, there's going to be a few videos on the screen as well as more down on my channel. And with that, my name is Payne, and I'll see you in the next video. Plus Ultra.